The late 19th century was a time of great change in Britain. The Industrial Revolution was in full swing. Cities were growing rapidly. Workers faced harsh conditions. They toiled long hours in factories and mines. They had few rights and little say in how they were governed. Out of this turmoil, a new political force emerged, the Labour Party.
It grew from the trade union movement, which fought for better pay and working conditions. Groups like the Independent Labour Party, or ILP, also played a key role. They wanted to represent workers in Parliament. The early Labour movement was not a unified party. It was a collection of different groups with shared goals. They believed in social justice and a fairer society. Their aim was to give a voice to the working class.
In 1900, a crucial step was taken. Various socialist groups, trade unions, and the ILP came together. They formed the Labour Representation Committee, or LRC. This marked the beginning of the Labour Party as a national political force. The early years of the LRC were a time of both struggle and promise. The LRC was a new force in British politics. It faced an uphill battle against the established Conservative and Liberal parties.
The 1906 general election proved to be a breakthrough moment. The LRC won 29 seats in Parliament. This was a significant victory. It showed the growing strength of the Labour movement. Keir Hardie, a key figure in the early Labour movement, became the party's first leader in Parliament. He was a powerful voice for social justice and workers' rights.
The LRC's success in 1906 marked a turning point. It was no longer a fringe group, it was a major player in British politics. The party was ready to fight for social change on a national stage. The period from 1906 to 1923 was one of growth and consolidation for Labour. The party made significant strides in Parliament. It championed social reforms. It pushed for better working conditions, improved education, and greater social security.
In 1918, the party adopted a new constitution. Importantly, it established a clear socialist objective, the common ownership of the means of production. This cemented Labour's identity as a socialist party.
The rise of the Labour Party was not without its challenges. The First World War from 1914 to 1918 deeply divided the party. Some members supported the war effort, while others opposed it. Despite these divisions, Labour emerged from the war stronger than ever. The party benefited from the expansion of the franchise in 1918, which gave more working-class men and women the right to vote. In 1923, Labour achieved a historic milestone. It formed its first government under Ramsay MacDonald. Although short-lived, this minority government was a sign of the party's growing influence.
However, Labour's first taste of power was bittersweet. The government faced numerous challenges, including economic instability and industrial unrest. In 1924, the MacDonald government fell. It was replaced by a Conservative administration. This was a setback for Labour, but it did not diminish the party's determination.
Labour continued to grow in popularity. It focused on addressing the needs of the working class. The party pushed for policies to tackle unemployment and improve social conditions. Section 5, Crisis and Coalition Labour during War and Peace, from 1929 to 1951. The late 1920s and 30s were turbulent times for Britain and the world. The Great Depression had a devastating impact on the British economy. Unemployment soared.
Labour formed its second minority government in 1929 under Ramsay MacDonald. However, the government struggled with the economic crisis. In 1931, the MacDonald government collapsed. MacDonald formed a national government with the Conservatives and Liberals. This decision split the Labour Party.
Throughout the 1930s, Labour rebuilt itself in opposition. The party campaigned against the rise of fascism in Europe. During the Second World War, Labour joined Winston Churchill's wartime coalition government. Clement Attlee served as Deputy Prime Minister. Labour played a crucial role in the war effort. Section 6, the post-war consensus Labour's internal struggles and triumphs, from 1951 to 1964. The 1945 general election was a watershed moment in British history. Labour won a landslide victory, securing its first ever majority government. Clement Attlee became Prime Minister.
The Attlee government, from 1945 to 1951, implemented a radical program of social reform. It established the welfare state, including the National Health Service. It nationalized key industries such as coal mining and steel. The Attlee years were a period of significant social progress. Despite its achievements, Labour lost the 1951 general election to the Conservatives. The party remained in opposition for the next 13 years.
During this time, it grappled with internal divisions. There were tensions between the party's left and right wings. Despite these challenges, Labour continued to advocate for social justice and equality. The party played a key role in shaping the post-war consensus, which accepted the need for government intervention in the economy and a strong welfare state. Section 7, Harold Wilson and the Challenges of Governance, 1964 to 1979. In 1964, Labour returned to power under Harold Wilson.
Wilson was a charismatic and popular leader. He promised to modernize Britain and create a more just society.
The Wilson governments of the 1960s faced numerous challenges. These included economic difficulties, social change, and the continued decline of Britain's global influence.
Despite these challenges, Labour achieved significant reforms. The death penalty was abolished, homosexuality was decriminalised, comprehensive education was expanded.
Labour also made progress on issues such as race relations and gender equality. However, Labour lost the 1970 general election to the Conservatives.
The party returned to power in 1974, but it faced a more difficult economic climate. Inflation and unemployment were rising. Industrial unrest was growing.
Wilson resigned as Labour leader in 1976 and was succeeded by James Callaghan. The Callaghan government struggled to cope with the economic crisis. It faced a vote of no confidence in 1979 and lost, leading to a general election. Section 8, Thatcherism and the Wilderness Years, Labour's Identity Crisis, 1979 to 1992. The 1979 general election marked the beginning of a difficult period for Labour.
Margaret Thatcher's Conservatives won a decisive victory. Thatcherism, with its emphasis on free markets, individualism, and a smaller role for government, posed a fundamental challenge to Labour's values.
Labour suffered 3 consecutive general election defeats under the leadership of Michael Foot from 1980 to 1983 and Neil Kinnock from 1983 to 1992. The party struggled to articulate a clear alternative to Thatcherism.
It was divided internally between those who wanted to stick to traditional socialist policies and those who favored modernization. The 1980s were a time of soul-searching for Labour. The party's traditional base in the working class was eroding. It needed to find a way to appeal to a broader electorate.
Section 9, New Labour, New Britain, Blair, Brown and the Modernisation of Labour, 1992 to 2010. The election of John Smith as Labour leader in 1992 marked a turning point.
Smith began the process of modernising the party. He died suddenly in 1994 and was succeeded by Tony Blair.
Blair completed Labour's transformation into New Labour. He abandoned the party's commitment to nationalisation and adopted a more pro-business stance.
He emphasized social justice and opportunity for all. New Labour won a landslide victory in the 1997 general election, ending 18 years of Conservative rule. Blair became Prime Minister.
The Blair government from 1997 to 2007 implemented a wide range of reforms. It introduced the minimum wage, devolved power to Scotland and Wales, and invested heavily in public services.
Blair also made the controversial decision to join the US-led invasion of Iraq in 2003. Gordon Brown succeeded Blair as Prime Minister in 2007. Brown's premiership was dominated by the global financial crisis of 2008.
Labour lost the 2010 general election to the Conservatives, ending 13 years of Labour government. Section 10, Back to the Future, Labour in Opposition and Government, 2010 to present. Following the 2010 defeat, Labour entered a period of introspection.
The party elected Ed Miliband as leader. Miliband sought to move Labour away from the New Labour era.
Labour lost the 2015 general election to the Conservatives, led by David Cameron. Miliband resigned as leader and was succeeded by Jeremy Corbyn.
Corbyn's leadership marked a significant shift to the left for Labour. He was a divisive figure, popular with the party's membership but less so with the wider electorate.
Labour under Corbyn became embroiled in allegations of anti-Semitism. The 2017 general election resulted in a hung parliament.
The Conservatives, led by Theresa May, formed a minority government with the support of the Democratic Unionist Party, or DUP. Labour made significant gains under Corbyn but fell short of winning a majority.
The 2019 general election was a disaster for Labour. The party suffered its worst defeat since 1935. Corbyn resigned as leader.
He was succeeded by Keir Starmer in 2020. Starmer began the task of rebuilding Labour. He sought to move the party away from the Corbyn era and regain the trust of voters.
The COVID-19 pandemic, which began in 2020, presented significant challenges for the UK. Labour under Starmer offered constructive opposition to the Conservative government.
In 2024, Labour returned to power after 14 years in opposition. The party won a majority in the general election, defeating the incumbent Conservative government.
The victory marked a significant moment for Labour and British politics. It remains to be seen how the party will govern and what the future holds.